Welcome to Unlocking the Power of ChatGPT and AI in Testing, a real-world look presented by Applitools. Our speaker today is Anand Bagmar. Anand is a software quality evangelist with more than 20 years in the software testing field. He is passionate about shipping a quality product and specialized in product quality strategy and execution, as well as building automated testing tools, infrastructure, and frameworks. Anand is a contributor to the Selenium project, writes testing-related blogs, and has built a number of open source tools related to software testing. He's also very curious, and you're in for a treat today as he shares with you some of his recent exploration. And with that, Anand, I will hand it over to you.
So very warm welcome to you. Welcome to this webinar on how can you unlock the power of ChatGPT and AI in testing. Today, I will be sharing with you a lot of different practical ways how you can use the power of tools, use the power of AI to make your life better, make your life more fun and exciting, learn in the process, and of course, help build a better quality product. Pam has already spoken a lot about me. I'm not going to do any more of that and bore you. But my LinkedIn and Twitter is on the screen. I would love to connect with you even after this session and be part of the community and help share experiences with each other and learn from each other. So with that, let's get started. There is a lot of hype in AI. Would you agree to that? You see AI-powered tools all over the place. And there are some really good ones out there. But is that really a hype? Is that a reality? Let's look at one of the trusted reports where they did a lot of research and they came up with what they call as the hype cycle for AI. And this is a Gartner report. You can see how they are trending in terms of the innovation trigger, when the expectations inflated, what seems to be the trough of disillusionment, what might be getting closer to the slope of enlightenment, and then eventually reaching nirvana or plateau of productivity. If we dive in a little deeper in that, certain things would catch your eye. We see over here chatbots, autonomous vehicles, computer vision, semantic search. These seem to be coming out of disillusionment and getting towards the slope of enlightenment. What does that mean? A lot of these solutions are ready to get mainstream, have mainstream applicability, and we will be able to use it. And ChatGPT is one such example where we have access to this wonderful tool. Let's see how we can get better value from it. And we'll also talk about some other tools in this session today as well. So the agenda for today, we've got a lot to cover. I have got at least 15 different examples that I would love to share, but we'll see how the time goes by. And of course, if the ChatGPT servers are favorable to me today to allow doing a live demo, let's find out. So we will cover aspects of what is ChatGPT, how you can use it in testing, how you can use it in programming, what are the limitations, what other tools are there, what are the pitfalls of AI, which is obvious, right? Everything has a plus and a minus side, or a positive and a negative side to it. And we'll summarize, and then we'll get to questions as well. So what is ChatGPT? This is what the website says. In a simplistic term, it is able to give us answers based on questions we have asked. It is able to continue the conversations that we are having with that bot, and it will get better in the responses based on how we keep asking follow-up questions. That's a very, very simplistic way of how I think about ChatGPT. Of course, it's much more technical, and you can look at the website to get more technical details on the technology, what enables ChatGPT. But I had to ask ChatGPT in its own words, what is ChatGPT? Who are you? What are you? And it gave me some very good, simple answers, very readable and understandable answers that I, who do not know a lot, who does not know a lot about AI technology, I'm still able to make sense out of it. So the summary of what I understand from these three questions that I asked ChatGPT as follow-ups. What is ChatGPT? It's a conversational language, which is trained on a large volume of data to generate human-like responses. This volume of data is collected from the internet, web pages, books, and other forms of written communication. And the data has been till 2021. That's the duration till which they have parsed this data. So if you ask the right question, you do get a lot of interesting answers from ChatGPT in terms of the information you're looking for. And it's important to note that ChatGPT is evolving. So while at times we will see servers are busy, we are not able to get access to it, there are also times when it is updating itself. And this is an update prompt that I got a couple of days ago that they have upgraded the model. So we have to be watchful of that as well. The GPT in ChatGPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer Model, and 3 is the version. In fact, in one of the documents that I was going through as part of the research, it said now that we are at version 3.5 of the model. That's where we are. So this model uses deep learning algorithms, autoregressive language models to build and train itself and provide the technology that will help it produce text and continue the conversation as well. But enough about ChatGPT itself. Let's see how we can use it. It's also important to know how this is evolving. So some interesting stats about that. It launched very, very recently, 30th November 2020. An improved model was launched on 15th December. Within 1 week of its launch, there were more than 1 million users. And I'm sure a lot of us in the audience, including myself, have been a few of those users in the very initial days. Important thing to note that the data is fetched only up to 2021. So anything after that, it would not be able to answer. And it is honest for good reasons to say it doesn't have enough data about it. And Microsoft is supporting OpenAI tremendously in terms of the computational power for running ChatGPT. So we have to be thankful for them for us to be able to use ChatGPT today. So let's get into the core of our topic now. How can we leverage ChatGPT in testing? Now, testing I'm talking about as a holistic view. It's not automation only. Neither it is non-automated testing only, right? It covers all aspects of testing. And to do this, we are going to use an example of an e-commerce application. In this case, I chose Amazon application, US region, as a way to demonstrate some use cases. So when you have to think about testing Amazon, the Amazon application, Amazon website to be more specific, what are the different things that you would go through in order to test this? I came up with a certain set of guidelines. First of all, we need a strategy, how we are going to test this. Once we have a strategy, we'll get into the test design, understanding what is to be tested. Then we'll also get into automation so that whatever is important to be tested and repeated in testing, we want to automate those. And of course, whatever is automated, we need to execute it, see the results, and take decisions based on that. So if you dive a level deeper into what these mean, in terms of strategy, I need to know what my test strategy is, which also includes risk, coverage, metrics, what are going to be important to know the quality of Amazon website. When I think about test design, I will also be thinking about the test scenarios that are important, what are the test cases based off those scenarios, and also what is the test data that is required to test these effectively. From automation perspective, I need to understand how to get started with automation. I need to build a framework, which means I also need to know the design patterns, and I need to have good coding knowledge in terms of optimizing my automated code to get the results that I'm looking for. And from a test execution perspective, when I run the test, I need to make sure I'm able to get relevant reports which have relevant metrics that can be correlated with the strategy to make sure a product is actually working as expected. So if this is our approach to testing, let's dive deep into each of these areas and see how ChatGPT can help us in achieving these activities. We'll start off with the strategy side of things. So from a strategy perspective, remember we are testing the Amazon website, right? I need to come up with a test strategy. How do I test this website? Now, typically we have a template in our organization, or from our past experiences, we've built a template what goes in a test strategy. And it's a good template because it's based on experience, based on what has worked for others. It's a good template that we can start filling out the details. But there is still a lot of details to be filled out. Can ChatGPT help us in creating this strategy? Going from just a pure template of a strategy into building a reasonably good strategy document automatically? Let's find out. So I asked this question to ChatGPT: create a test strategy for testing and automating the Amazon USA application. Let's see if we can do this live. Fingers crossed over here. Okay. So in ChatGPT, I'm asking this question: create a test strategy for testing and automating Amazon USA. So far, no error. That means probably I'm still signed in. There we go. It is analyzing the question based on the data. It is trying to figure out what is the context of my question, and it is coming out with a lot of details about what a strategy should have. Let's take a few seconds and see what it comes up with. So far, what it seems like, it is coming up with a lot of details, but I'm not really liking this a lot. This seems to be a very, very generic template or what a test strategy needs to be. And that's what I had found earlier as well. It's almost similar to the type of response I have got right now. But this does not seem very useful for me. It's a little bit advanced template that I was referring to earlier, but I don't think I can really use it to take the next step automatically. I need something better. I need something more concrete. So what I'm going to do is I'll ask a follow-up question. Give me a concrete strategy for the above use case. Okay. So that is the question I'm going to ask ChatGPT now. Give a concrete strategy for the above use case. And let's see what it comes up with now. So here it is where it is using the earlier question, the answer it has provided, and adding the context, additional context of my follow-up question. It is coming up with what next could be there. And now you can see it is getting much more interesting. It is talking about scope, and it is talking about specific areas of the Amazon website in that scope perspective. So it is not generic anymore. It is very specific to the Amazon website. It is talking about the testing methodologies, what type of testing we should be doing. Manual testing for exploratory and regression, automated for regression, functional and performance, acceptance to meet the acceptance criteria by the stakeholders. It's talking about test environments, test case development, test data preparation, automation, And it is still going on. This is massive. Have any one of you seen something like this in the past? I haven't. I've been in the testing space for more than 20 years. I've been a big skeptic or a non believer or someone who will always question automatic generation of test cases, test scenarios, strategy, automated code. But my eyes, I'm shaken. My eyes are opening wide based on what is coming up, how this technology is evolving. So this is the strategy that we saw ChatGPT gave out, much more concrete details about this strategy, and it can go on. You ask more detailed follow-ups, and I'm sure it will give you better results. So to me, this is very promising. This is a great start, and I definitely am hooked. I want to do more with this. But we've got many more scenarios to cover, so I'll not go deeper into the strategy. You can try it out later on your own. But once you have the strategy, what's next? In the strategy, you need to also include aspects of risk that can potentially happen as part of your project deliverable. And how are you going to mitigate that risk as well? So I asked a follow-up question, what risks and their mitigation strategies should be included in the test strategy as well? And let's see what that response was. Am I still connected? Let's see. Yeah, yes, we are. Okay. So now, based on context of the strategy, the Amazon website, based on whatever training, learning it has had, it is coming up with a lot of different types of risks, technical risks, and in fact, for each of the risks, it is very important to also talk about how you're going to mitigate that risk itself. So here we are without knowing anything about the product, or rather, not knowing anything internal about the product. It has learned a lot and it is able to look at the existing website probably, or it has already looked at it, and it is coming up with what risks can be there for it for testing that website and how you can mitigate those. Can you use this directly? Maybe not, but it's a great place where you can start. So this is the risk that it came up with. So from a strategy perspective, I think this is a great way how you can use ChatGPT and come up with something more than a boilerplate document, set of documents. And then you can fill it out and extend it more to make it more contextual, more usable, and you can proceed very quickly. The next part, let's talk about test design. In test design, once my strategy is there, I need to identify what are the interesting test scenarios related to the application I'm testing in context of what changes are going to go on. Right now, we're just talking about the application. So the question I'm going to ask ChatGPT is, you've given me the strategy, you've given me the risks that might happen, but what are the most critical test cases that I should test for this website? And let's see what it comes up with. Login and registration, yes, of course, makes sense, because without login registration, no one can purchase the products. Without search and browse, how will people, the users, find the product? Without the shopping cart, how will they add the products to cart and create a payment? Payment processing, of course. And there was an error, which is something probably a lot of you are trying to do in parallel as well. You're contributing to this in terms of the load. So this is bound to happen because it's still an evolving technology. And in the last 2 days itself, I have come across two different types of product offerings from ChatGPT that is going to make it available as a commercial solution as well. One, they have come up with an integration with Microsoft Teams. That can become very helpful. There's a commercial model to it. The other aspect is, as individuals, you can sign up for a Chat GPT Plus account where you will get much more responsive product to work with. So that's where we are. But no problem, in context of this demo, I already have some of these scenarios captured. So here are 10 different scenarios that ChatGPT gave me. What are the most critical ones that we should be testing? Okay, that's great. Now I have got a much more better head start about what I should be testing on this product. This is a great set of regression scenarios. Of course, these are very high level scenarios. We need to dive in deeper. To dive in deeper, I'm asking ChatGPT, give me the 10 test cases for product search and filtering scenario which it had identified. So I'm just going to refresh and see if I'm able to get to it. Okay. I'm just going to edit this one. Let's see. 10 test cases for product search and filtering scenario in order of priority. So now I'm asking ChatGPT to not just give me a specific number of test cases, I'm also asking it to prioritize it for me so I don't even have to think about that. How cool is that? So it's giving me all the different options over here. And this is making my work less and less, right? If I had to think about these, maybe I could have thought about these scenarios very quickly, but to write it down in whichever form you might be using, whether it's on Post-its, it's in some test case management tool, wherever, right? It still takes time. But now I have a lot of this data already generated or test cases generated. I can simply take it, put it in my tool and get started with the next steps. Isn't it amazing? I think so. But now I have the test cases. The next thing I need to test to execute these test cases is data. Can ChatGPT give me that? What do you think? Do you think it can give me test data as well? Yeah, I see some thumbs up. Let's see. So the question I'm going to ask it, what test data do I need to be available for performing the above test cases? All this is conversation that is building up on top of the other. I'm telling it over here for the above test cases. I'm not telling which specific one that I am talking about. And here it has started telling me, okay, I need products with different keywords, categories, brands, prices, ratings. I need keywords that match and do not match. I need products in different categories and so on and so forth. So it has given me not very good data in this case, but it is still pretty decent. At least I can get an idea of what type of data do I need to collect and use that. So I was hoping for more specific details, but it's a start. At least based on this, now I can get in my product, my application, and figure out what data is available for all these different types of categories, and I can be ready accordingly. I think this is super helpful. If I have to start testing the Amazon public website today, I will be able to do that very quickly just based on the information I have received so far. I cannot go wrong. This is the top priority, obvious scenarios, but I don't have to write down any of this on my own. I can use a tool to generate it and just add the specific test data. I'm ready to start testing this product. Almost ready, let's say that. Okay. So this is how, so far what we have seen is how can we use ChatGPT to look at strategy, look at test design. But how many of us are testers over here, or do automation rather, or contribute to automation in some way or the other? A lot of thumbs ups, right? A lot of people focused on automation and implementing tests to get faster feedback. Let's see how ChatGPT can help us in automation as well. For that, we first need an automation strategy. Do we know what's an automation strategy? How we are going to automate Amazon product? Okay, so we have the list of test cases. Let's ask ChatGPT, what is a good way to automate these test cases? So let's see what it is saying. It is to use a testing framework with a scripting language such as Selenium with Python or JavaScript. Here are the steps to automate the test cases, set up the test environment, define the test cases, create test data, execute, analyze the results. By automating, you can increase the efficiency and reliability, reduce the effort required. I can't even speak as fast as how it is typing this out. That's amazing. So here I get a decent automation strategy, what approach I should take to automate Amazon website. Is this very helpful? Well, it's decently helpful. At least I know what are the big building blocks that I need to do, what approach I need to take for automation. Based on context of my team, I will choose what automation tool or framework or programming language that I need to use. But the other aspects are definitely common and they are going to be required for my automation. So now I have a strategy in place. What next? I need to get started to automate. But what if I don't know Selenium? How should I learn it? Can ChatGPT teach me how to learn Selenium? Let's find out if it can teach me Selenium. Okay, learning Selenium is a great way to automate web applications. Here are some ways to get started. So familiarize yourself with technologies, learn a programming language, get familiar with the Selenium API, start by creating simple automation scripts, work on more complex scripts as you get more experience, and join online forums, practice. Okay, by following these steps, putting in, you can learn. Well, I was hoping it will teach me Selenium, very frankly speaking. In this case, the answer came out pretty fast, but when I put in this answer, when I was experimenting and going through this, the answer took some time, and that could purely be based on the website was overloaded at that time. Maybe it was network connectivity on my side. I don't know what were the reasons, but when I had tried it earlier, the answer took some time. Also, there were some great resources that were missing over here, which ChatGPT could have pointed me to get better or give concrete direction how to learn this. For example, Test Automation University was missed, where it has some great courses how I could learn Selenium in any different programming language. So this part was okay, or maybe my question was not clear enough. That could also be the case, right? So I could have a much more better follow-up question, and maybe it will give me the right type of answers. But yeah, okay, it can guide me in some ways at least, so that is good. Now let's say I want to implement the automation. I see some comments over there. Can it also automatically create the scripts? Let's see if it can. So we'll ask ChatGPT, I want to implement the first test case using Selenium Java with JUnit. Remember, we are still in the same context. And I'm asking this question. Here we go. It has started spitting out code for using Selenium with Java and JUnit. But yeah, okay, it seems to be fine. For some reason, I thought that I saw Python over here earlier. But it has changed. I don't know why this is TypeScript right now, when this is clearly Java code. And you see over here, it has created, done all the right imports. It has the right class. It has a WebDriver instance. It has a before method where you're setting up Chrome driver. It has a test created, which is going to Amazon.com. it is searching on something, submit, and it is also doing an assert. What is a test without an assert? It's better to delete that test, right? And then at the end of the test, in the after hook, do a driver.quit. I can't tell you how many codes, snippets, or automation frameworks I have seen where people do not close the driver or quit the driver instance. And here it is ChatGPT giving us an exact scenario, exact code implementation, how this will work. Now, this code will not work on my machine. Why? Because I don't have a Chrome driver downloaded on my machine. So I cannot give it a path. And for that matter, it is also telling us that you need to, it is explaining what the code is doing for that matter. Okay. So there is a better way how we can implement this code. And that is use WebDriver Manager. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT, use WebDriver Manager in the above example. That's all I'm telling it. So again, it is building up on top of the code that it has generated. And now it is going to use WebDriver Manager, which is also, it is explaining using WebDriver Manager library to manage the WebDriver instance. So it is giving not just the code, but it is also explaining what that means. And over here, you will see it has used WebDriver Manager instead of path to the Chrome driver. And the same test is here. In interest of time, I'm going to switch to my IDE where earlier, whichever code was generated, I just put it over here. The only change I needed to do is add the package because the package was not there. I have put this code in a new class file in my existing framework. And if I run this test, do you think it is going to run? Few people think it is going to run. Okay. It's instantiating, doing whatever build is there. I see a comment. It's WebDriver Manager is already there in Selenium 4.6. Yes, it is there. It is there in beta right now. It is called Selenium Manager, not WebDriver Manager. It will be called Selenium Manager. And that's how you don't need a separate dependency in your code to implement that. But here is Amazon website opened up. I'm right now in India, so it's asking for a country pop-up, but it is doing a search. It gets the search results, it does the assertion, and the test completes. The test fails because the test was generated based on Amazon USA, and maybe the products that are shown right now is different. I don't know. I have not debugged this, but that's a smaller piece of work that I can do, at least little work I should be doing on my own, right? Instead of just everything given from ChatGPT itself. And that's amazing. I have a working code given by ChatGPT, which I can use directly in my framework and proceed. But in most cases, it will not be a direct usage, right? Because you would have your framework architecture in a way that the hooks are in a separate place, your tests are in a separate place, your pages might be in a different place, and you'll be able to, you'll need to take the snippets of this generated code, put it in the relevant place in your framework, and then you'll be able to use it in that sense. So this is what we already saw, right? Creating that first test. It explained also how that implementation needs to be, what is happening in that implementation. We also saw this next part, how we enhanced the same code to use WebDriver Manager, and that also worked fine. This was the test result that we saw. But as estates or as automation engineers, we love our design patterns. And which is our favorite design pattern? Can anyone quickly put in chat? Which is our favorite design pattern for automation? Form, of course, page object model, right? So what if we ask ChatGPT, can you create the same test that you had in a page object model design? What we saw earlier was not a page object model design. Everything was directly in one place. So let's ask ChatGPT, can you create this test using page object models? Let's see what that is going to be. So now it is referring to Amazon homepage over here. It is using that, and also Amazon search results page that is there in my search test class. And now it has also created two different pages, Amazon homepage, and it will also create the next page, Amazon search results page, using the relevant locator strategies, and you can just directly use it and run the test. In fact, the test that I ran, I showed the demo of the test running was using the page object model for the code that ChatGPT has generated. It's amazing. Someone is saying you can use screenplay using boa constructor. Of course, you can try it out on your own and see if ChatGPT is able to give you the code based on the screenplay pattern. And maybe it is able to do that as well for you, right? So you get the pages created, you get the test created. You simply have to pick up the relevant pieces, put it into your framework, and run the test directly, and it will work fine. I was very, very amazed at this part. Of course, this means the website was a public facing website. Maybe for internal websites, the locators might be different. Not sure what else might be different, and it may not work over there. It's a caveat, but you get a lot of boilerplate code, working boilerplate code for that matter, that you can use to avoid reinventing the wheel. Let's move into the next part about test execution. Now, in case of execution, we have run the test locally. I'm not showing anything from a CI perspective right now, but reports is a very important aspect from your execution. Now, how do you generate the reports and metrics for your automated tests? I asked this question to ChatGPT, and again, it gave me a lot of options how I can generate reports. The answer was actually suitable to the question I asked. Looking at the answer, probably I was not very happy, but I did some introspection. My question was not very specific. How to generate reports? Here are the different ways you can generate reports. Okay. It is also telling what aspects you need to keep in mind for generating, selecting the approach. That's good to know. But this is not what I was looking for. So let me ask a specific question. In this case, the follow-up was, how can I generate JUnit reports for these automated tests? And here we start off right from the top to say, what is a dependency required in my Maven file, a POM file? What do I need to change in my execution? How do I run the test? And where are the reports going to be? It's a pretty decent working code. I just pick up the snippets, put it into my framework on the sample test that I have, and 99% now my confidence level is also building up, right? 99%, I'm pretty sure it is going to do what it is saying it will happen. So these were some use cases from how you can use ChatGPT from a testing perspective and an automation perspective. I hope this gave you some good working examples of how you could leverage this tool to make better use of your time in generating scripts or strategy and test cases as well. But that's not all. You can use ChatGPT in programming as well. And programming could mean product code as well as automation code. It is programming, it is code. So let's see how ChatGPT can help us in that. And for this, I'm going to use a few different examples. One is writing code itself. Given a problem statement, can it write code for me? Given an existing code snippet, can it help me do refactoring? Given a problematic piece of code, can it help me debug and find the solution for it? And I'm sure you can now start thinking of what other use cases also exist. Okay, so let's start off with writing code. How many of us practice programming using websites like LeetCode or Hacker Rank, Hacker Earth of sorts? You practice programming on that. A lot of us do, right? It's a great way to learn. So I asked the question, implement code count for count and say problem statement, which is available on lead code. In this case, if we go to that particular page, this is how that lead code page looks. It explains what the problem statement is. It gives some image of an example, what it means. And it has some examples as well, what is the expected input and output in both cases. So I just did a copy of this using from the web page. I just copied the content. I put it in ChatGPT, and you see how it is a very textual paste that happened over here. I didn't even put a question over here, solve this problem statement or nothing like that. I just simply pasted that content from the web page in ChatGPT, and by default, it gave me an answer. In this case, I don't know if I run it again, if it will give the default solution in Python. But that's the answer that it gave me in Python. I'm not really a Python person. I want to learn Python. That's in my to-do list. I'm more of a Java person. So I asked ChatGPT, give me the above solution in Java. And it gave me a solution in Java. I did not have to repeat the problem statement as well. But I don't like this code. Why? Because the naming convention is not good. What is string res? I don't know what res means. I don't know what I is, what is temp, what is j. I don't know what all this is. Okay. So I ask it, and this code actually works, but I'll show you a working example for the next one. So I asked ChatGPT, use proper variable names for the above code. I don't like this. Now suddenly my confidence has changed and I'm giving it orders, right? Do this properly. Give me proper variable names. I don't like this I, J, and whatever. And it listened to me. It told me, okay, instead of res, here is result. Instead of what was the variable name over here? Count was there, and there was say. Okay. It is using string builder next result. It is using count. It is getting better based on how I am asking it to change for me. But I still see there is I and J over here in the loops. So I say, okay, use proper variable names in the loops. And it changed it for the first one, not for the other. But that's not bad, right? It's amazing in my opinion. So I took this code, I simply pasted it over here. I wrote a simple test around that and added an assertion because I didn't ask ChatGPT to build a test around this. So I wrote a simple test around the code that I just pasted from ChatGPT. And if I run this test, the test passed. So if I am learning programming, if I have certain such problem statements, I'm learning to program, but I get stuck somewhere, then this can be a great resource how you can get a solution. The important thing is don't just copy the solution, paste it, your job is done. That is not going to help you improve, not help you grow. Understand what the solution is, what the solution has been provided, where you went wrong, then you will grow and you will get better as well. Okay. So these were some examples from writing the code perspective. Let's look at some examples for refactoring existing code. In this case, I gave it a link to code in GitHub. So I have a lot of different test GitHub repositories. I picked up one random file in one of the repositories and gave it a link and just told it refactor this class and gave it the link. It actually went in, understood that code, and it gave me some solution. Now, this is a part I have not tested it yet. The solution that was provided, is it going to work or not? I don't know. But that is something that I need to take as a next step. Take this, put it actually in my code base, see if everything is continuing to work fine. How would you know everything is going to work fine? The easiest way to know that, if you had some tests around that class that you refactored, simply run the test. If the test pass, everything is fine. So that is one way to proceed. Of course, this has to be something that it can reach. Okay. If you give it a snippet of code and ask it to refactor, that also works. So I took in some complex piece of code that I had in one of my past repositories, a direct copy paste of that blob of code, just pasted it into ChatGPT and just said refactor. Maybe it worked without the refactor keyword also, I don't know. But when I did this, it actually broke down this big complex blob of code into multiple methods. And I'm pretty sure I'll be able to use this. One limitation that I saw of ChatGPT, the answer was not complete. So for whatever reason, I thought, let me just say continue, and it continued the implementation. I don't know if it works completely or not, something for me to try out and something for you to try out as well. But it is also giving me some suggestions what needs to change or what it has suggested as changes as well. That is pretty amazing. And I'm sure these are aspects that will definitely get better in ChatGPT as it evolves. So you get the full code over here. Let's look at some other example. Another piece of complex code. And can you reduce the complexity of it? Here's a very procedural way of writing code where we've got a for loop and a ton of if conditions inside it. The complexity of this code is 18. What is there in the code is irrelevant. If you're not able to read, don't worry. I know it looks ugly, it looks complex. That is what is important right now. So this is a very complex code. I asked ChatGPT to refactor this, and it gave me a much more easier looking to the eyes type of code. But this code was also pretty complex. Complexity is 16. So it has reduced from 18 to 16, but this is still not acceptable. My sonar checks are going to not allow this code to proceed. So I asked ChatGPT, reduce the complexity of the code it has refactored. So in this case, it gave me a much more better code, and the complexity of this was still high. In this case, it was around 10. So from 18, it went to 16, 16, it went down to 10. So now I can use different tools. If Sonar is telling me Sonar is failing because of complexity, I can give it to ChatGPT if I am not able to solve it myself, because Sonar is also pretty good. It will tell you what you can do to fix the problem. But sometimes you need additional help and you want to do things quickly. This can be a great way how you could do that. Paste the code, ask it to reduce the complexity, use it back in your code base, and you can proceed. Okay. So that was refactoring. Let's look at debugging. If I have a buggy code, can ChatGPT fix it for me? So in this case, I have an example. In this case, the example I've found is from the internet. This is not my code. This would be horrible code if I wrote it. At least the naming conventions would have been better if nothing else. I'll be honest to admit that. So I'm just going to refresh this. Let's see if ChatGPT is still with us. It's going to give me access. Seems like. Okay. I'm going to correct this. And I'm going to say, fix this code. Intentionally over here, I have made, actually no, in this one, it is a direct code that I got from the internet. But it has bugs, it has problems. So ChatGPT is analyzing and telling me what is the problem over here. And it is also telling me the corrected code. What is a better way to implement that? And you can go through these cycles to make it better and better. Okay. So for debugging as well, you can leverage the power of ChatGPT, and that can give you a lot of value. Let's move on to the next part. What are the limitations? I'm sure you can think of hundreds of other more use cases. But now, let's see, you can experiment with those on your own, right? But let's see what are the limitations and what's next for you. Look at the ChatGPT blog. They themselves list down what are the potential challenges or limitations of ChatGPT, and this is going to keep on getting updated. It is important to understand this when you're using ChatGPT so that you're not caught unawares of sort. In addition, my experiences are that ChatGPT, of course, does not know your context. It is based on whatever data it has learned from. But you can definitely leverage this as a starting point, pick up relevant pieces, use it in your context, and you can get a kickstart to do the right thing. This will not work on internal sites, or at least I should say this may not work on internal sites. ChatGPT, when it spits out the code, it is not running any of the tests. It is building the code for you, for example. If the code, the product is similar to what is there in prod, it might work directly. In most cases, I'm guessing it will not work directly. You'll need to still tweak it and maybe change the locators or whatever to make the test work. Data privacy could become a huge issue because all this training that ChatGPT has done is based on external public websites or public data. So if you are going to use it for internal, or if there's a way to use it for internal sites as well, then I don't know if data is going to leak out and others can also get access to that in any way or not. That is something we need to watch out. This, of course, will not work for the new features that are being developed. But again, as I said, use it as boilerplate code, as starting stepping stones to build the solution quickly. Okay. There are some other tools also that can impact SDLC or help in SDLC getting better. One of them is GitHub Copilot, which I'm hoping every one of you has at least done a trial and used that. It's an amazing tool. As you're writing, it is going to tell you and generate code for you so you don't have to type it out, and it will do it based on the right programming practices as well. There are a couple of links in the slides over here that you can refer to. These slides will be available to you and shared with you soon. So you'll get all these links, so don't worry about that. So take a look at these links. These are great resources to know more about GitHub Copilot. The other tool that is very powerful and valuable, and this is purely based on the reason I'm mentioning this, it fits in very nicely with what we saw in the Gartner report about computer vision. Applitools, Visual AI, and Ultrafast Cloud are helping thousands of people or thousands of teams across the world do better testing, functional and visual testing at a very fast pace. It simplifies your functional testing. You need to write less code to get better validations. It can work with dynamic content where you don't have control over the data in your application. It can handle shifting content if you have long pages and the content shifts inside it. And it can ignore those displacement issues as well in long pages so that you can focus on the real differences that exist on the page. So this makes your functional and visual testing extremely powerful. Also, to scale this execution, the Ultrafast Test Cloud seamlessly scales your execution from one device or one browser across all your supported browsers and devices at the cost of running just a single test. This approach is more than 18 times faster than traditional cloud execution grids and the traditional cross-device, cross-browser testing approach. Definitely try out Applitools. If you have not done that, sign up for a free account and you can get a hands on it. But fine, Applitools is great. Can I use ChatGPT with it? Why not, right? Let's try it out. So I asked ChatGPT, build me a test case that verifies the search results matched by keywords entered by the user using Selenium Java with WebDriver Manager, JUnit, and Applitools Ultrafast Grid. I was trying my luck over here, okay, to be very frank. But again, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, not very happy, but pleasantly surprised. It told me exactly the steps that I need to do to get this integrated. So the dependencies for WebDriver Manager for Applitools, how to use WebDriver Manager, how to use Applitools, but it was not able to combine all of this together to build me one test case. Maybe my question was not clear. Maybe I need to tweak it. And that is one of the limitations of ChatGPT as listed on the blog as well. You tweak the keyword, the question, and ask a follow up. And many a times you'll get much more better answer than what you were expecting. So again, the question might not have been the right one in this case. That's why it did not give me a working example based on what I was looking for. But this itself is not bad because it is telling me exactly how to set up Applitools as well and how to use it. And that is still pretty amazing. A great way to get started. Okay. So what are the advantages of using AI in testing? It reduces the mundane task. Let the machine handle it. It reduces the error prone nature of manual testing as well, or manually implementing the code as well for that matter. Both these aspects are very important. It is easier in scaling, and you can also get a chance to now learn new tools and technologies which are going to help you in your day job. So it will make your work more interesting as well. That said, there are potential pitfalls of using AI as well, some of which we already spoke about. Thinking that AI will solve all problems, the way automation was thought of as a silver bullet. I hope no one still thinks about it that way. Thinking that AI will solve all the problems is a potential pitfall, but time will tell. It can result in superficial knowledge. We are already used to Google driven development or Stack Overflow driven development. You search for an answer, pick up a solution, paste it in your code, and proceed. Many a times we don't even understand what we are doing. This might result in similar behaviors. In fact, much more powerful because now you can control the type of output you want. You can keep tweaking it, get a ready made solution, and use it directly without understanding what is going on. That's a problem, in my opinion. Data privacy, we already spoke about this. That is a problem, or at least a potential problem till more research is done. I would not know about it, but there are definitely concern areas in that regard. So let's talk about the current sentiments based on what we have seen so far. I would like to understand from your opinion what this means for you. There is a lot of buzz in social media, and I saw some of the comments in chat as well. Yes, my job is also at a risk, as someone had mentioned. Absolutely. I have to evolve and get better. Otherwise, tools are going to replace me. But there is a lot of buzz in social media that ChatGPT could make a lot of jobs obsolete. This is from New York Post. There's another news article from Semaphore. The first line is not important. The second line is very important, in my opinion. OpenAI's objective is to make basic coding obsolete. Now, based on these statements and based on what we have seen so far, are you excited or are you worried? How many of you are excited with these new opportunities, new possibilities? How many of you are worried? If you can use a different reaction, if you are worried about what it means for you in the future. Okay, some people are saying scared, some are saying both. And I hear you. I agree with you. But there is a way forward. The way forward is to understand how ChatGPT and other tools are solving interesting challenges. We need to understand how to use them in our own context, in our work, to make it better. It also means we have to get better at asking the right question. If you ask the right question, you will you have a good chance of getting a good answer back. If you ask a bad question, you cannot blame the tool. You cannot blame any tool for that matter. You have to learn and to get better at asking the right questions. Another important part is, obvious part, of course, is tools have limitations. You have to understand those limitations and choose them wisely. The human mind and experience is still the essential ingredient. Without asking the right question, you will not get the answers. So the human mind is still very important. The human mind is still very important to pick up the solution, tweak it, use it in the right form in your own context. And here are some tips that will help you. Use this opportunity of the new era of tools and technologies coming up, especially in the AI space, to upskill yourself, to evolve your thought process, to become more creative, how you can come up with more interesting solutions, to be more innovative, how you can use combinations of tools for solving completely different types of problems. Paul Graham had a very nice set of tweets related to this. If your objective is to write a good essay, have ChatGPT write one, and then using that as a reference, you write opposite of what ChatGPT has written. That is where your creative juices are going to flow. That is where your creativity comes into picture. That is where your unique content is going to come across. And of course, you could use it as a new challenge as well. Have you thought of, there are great advancements, research, and actual productization of these tools and technologies happening. Have you thought of how you can contribute to building and testing these tools and technologies? That's a great area to proceed as well. So think about it. I hope I'm able to leave you with these with these thoughts, which at least I find very interesting and thought-provoking. The last bit from me: human intelligence plus artificial intelligence will help us get to super intelligence. Pam, I don't know if I can patent it. I would love to patent it. But patent, I don't want to, because I want to make it available to everyone. But this is genuinely what I think about it. You have to use a combination of your brain power, your intelligence, your empathy, your understanding, and use the tools the right way to create the best solutions. With that, I would like to say thank you for being a very kind audience and all the lovely emojis, reactions that you are giving me. Pam, over to you.
Thank you so much, Anand. Such a great demonstration. So many great comments and questions. Thank you, audience, for that. We do have a couple of minutes to see what our audience has learned and what questions they have. So I'm going to go over to the Q&A tab and present a couple of those for you, Anand. Very early on, we had a question. I'm going to show it on the stage. How can people put AI, let it be ChatGPT or any tool, into an organizational chart in terms of operations, security, and other point of regulations?
So that's a great question. And I don't have a very good answer for it, but I do have a little bit that I can contribute in that. So ChatGPT is very new right now. Just a couple of days ago, as I mentioned, they have created different types of offerings of ChatGPT Plus as well for organizations in form of Microsoft Teams or otherwise. So if you're on the Microsoft tech stack in your organization, you use Teams, you can have a subscribe to ChatGPT Plus. That has some very interesting features, what I read in the blog, what could be very helpful for the teams, not directly in terms of testing or automation, but more in terms of processes, making notes, creating tasks out of it and so on, right? For example, if you take Applitools, another AI powered tool, Applitools will work with the organization to address all their security concerns and make sure it can be used as part of your security policies within your network as well. Unfortunately, for ChatGPT, I do not have any more insight that I could give, but each tool will have their own different way, and you could work with them to try and see how it works in your organization.
All right, our next question. This was actually in the chat, and we had someone bring it up. Can ChatGPT translate tests from one framework to another, such as Cypress to Playwright? There was
I
also
knew
a
it
question
had to be
about.
Andrew, right? Only he can think about so many different frameworks at the same time.
There was
Andrew,
also
what
a
did you
question,
need?
Anand, about using ChatGPT to improve Selenium. So it wasn't just Andy. There were several questions about frameworks.
Sure. So I have not tried this converting tests from one framework to the other, but I think that would be a great test to very quickly try it out. And I can try to do that tomorrow and have a blog post or something how that works out. Definitely, translation is possible. Improving the code is possible. From one framework to the other, I'm not so sure. One thing that we have to remember is ChatGPT's training data is based on till mid 2021. So any advancements that have happened after the fact, it probably most likely will not be able to do that. But Elliot is saying on chat, I believe it can. So I trust Elliot. Andrew, yes, we can do the translation as well. But I will still try it out tomorrow.
All right. This is another question that had a lot of upvotes. A lot of people wanted to know about this. How about the ethical aspect of the tool? If this tool is helping us in creating automation at this early stage, what will happen in the near future when it evolves and starts replacing other people's jobs?
I don't think it will take the jobs away in that sense, right? And the reason I feel it will not take your job away is as a person, you have to keep growing. You have to keep evolving. You have to keep acquiring new skills in whatever type of role that you are doing. And using tools to get better is a fantastic way to upskill as well. The ethical aspect, that is always a big question in any new tool, technology, or product that comes out. Is it ethically responsible or not? Eventually, it comes to the person or the organization who gets a hand on it. What do they really want to do with it? Because probably reality is ethics are also subjective. It's based on individual perspective. There's a lot of context around that. I'm not justifying anything, but all I'm saying is it depends on who gets a hand on technology and what good are they able to do with that or not. Time will tell that.
Um, will ChatGPT develop completely new testing approach using other tests as a reference?
I believe it can. It's a great question. I believe it can because we already saw in this short session how you could create a strategy, identify test scenarios, identify critical test cases, and build an automated test around that. So, my approach to testing has already changed. And it comes down again to the individual what new creative ways, ideas you can think about to take it a step or miles further than where we are right now. Hopefully, next time it will be you who's presenting on the stage about what innovative tool or idea or thought process you have come across using such tools. So, definitely, it is going to change and evolve.
Christina asked, why has the talk about AI exploded since December? Is it merely because GPT was released, or are there other factors at work as well?
Christina, I really don't know what it could be, but definitely ChatGPT has been a sensation. The way it acquired more than 1 million users in the first week of its beta launch has been unprecedented in the industry. And if you have such a huge user base who is going to be using the tool, they are going to talk about it on social media, all different platforms. And all different roles. It's not just in the software industry. I see people using it for creating poems for their loved ones, using it to create articles. Believe it or not, I tried to create a blog post by just giving a statement in ChatGPT. It gave me a big blog post, which Pam rejected. She said it's not original enough. Right? So it is going to evolve, and there is a lot of interesting use cases. All different roles who have access to the computer or to the browser can try out. So it is very easily accessible. So I'm not surprised, or rather, I don't know how a million users got to know about it within the first week, but definitely because so many users came on the platform, it became a big viral sensation, a good viral sensation in this particular case, right? And here we are talking about it even more.
You can take advantage of AI today by using Applitools to test web apps, mobile apps, desktop apps, PDFs, screenshots, and more. We have SDKs that support all the popular testing frameworks and multiple languages, and they plug right in, so there's no need to create a new test or learn new frameworks. You can try it yourself at applitools.info/XM3, or have one of our testing specialists show it to you with your framework, with your tools. And you can schedule that by scanning the QR code on your screen or getting in touch at applitools.info/LBD. If you're hungry to learn more, we have some more resources for you to check out. Test Automation University, Anand mentioned this earlier. There are classes and courses. There are courses from some of the most well-respected software testing and test automation thought leaders. More than 50 courses spanning multiple frameworks and common tools. You can visit the link on your screen here as well. And next month, if you'll advance the slide, Anand, TAU is hosting a conference where you'll have the opportunities to empower your future with hands-on workshops, inspiring talks from some well-respected experts like Anand, and some fun. It's a free event, and we will be opening that for registration next week. We're also bringing the next installment of Let the Engineers Speak webinars to you, and that also will be opening in the next week or so. Be sure to stay on top of our upcoming event page at applitools.com/upcoming events. Again, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, everyone.